theyeshiva.net.
So the Gemarah told us on the Vav Hamad Beis in Pesachim, Rabbi Yehuda said in the name of Rav, a takana, an institution of the Chazal, probably from the days of Rav, or maybe a little earlier, that habaydik tzarich sheyevatel. It's not enough to do b'dikas chametz. It's not enough to check the chametz and, of course, get rid of it, burn it, or destroy it. Baydik, of course, doesn't only mean to check. It means to take care of it. Just checking chametz and finding it is not going to help you. So when we say b'dikas chametz, of course, it means b'dika and its ultimate purpose, which is bir. And that's why, by the way, the bracha, what's the blessing we make before we start b'dikas chametz? Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam asher kedeshanu b'mitzvos v'tzivanu al bir chametz. But the truth is, that's not what you're doing now. You're going to be doing that in more than 12 hours. You're doing b'dikas chametz, let's say 6 p.m. or 7 p.m., 5:30 p.m., 6:30 p.m. You're going to do bir chametz in 14 hours, 15 hours, 13 hours. I mean, you could do it the night before also, but that's not the time of bir chametz. Time of bir chametz is before the beginning of the 6th hour out of Pesach. So the mitzvah now is not bir chametz. The mitzvah is asher l'shana b'mitzvos v'tzivanu al b'dikas chametz. Now you might say, well, b'dikas chametz is only a mitzvah d'Rabbanan. Min haTorah you can also do bittul. But nonetheless, we make a bracha asher l'shana b'mitzvos v'tzivanu also on lighting Hanukkah candles. It's also not a mitzvah d'Oraisa or reading the Megillah. Doesn't say anywhere in Torah to read Hallel. Hallel comes from Tehillim. There was no Tehillim when the Torah was written. So what type of mitzvah did Hashem tell us to read Hallel? On the Tilas Yadayim, He told us to wash our hands before bread. There's no such a mitzvah in the Torah. It was a takana later. And the same is true. Where did Hashem tell anybody to light a candle before Shabbos? He said you're not allowed to light a candle on Shabbos. He didn't say you have to light a candle before Shabbos. The Chachamim instituted it because they didn't want that Seder Shabbos should be done pitch dark, because Seder Shabbos is done at night. So they instituted it for good reason. But where's Hashem? The answer, of course, is, and this is an important yesod b'chlal, I'm just saying derech hagav. The Rambam points this out many times from a Gemarah in Shabbos, that Hashem commanded us to listen to the Sanhedrin. Hashem kedeshanu b'mitzvos of Hashem told us we have to listen. Lo saser min hadavar asher yagidu lecha. One, the Jewish people are commanded to follow the authority of the Bezdin Hagadol, of the Jewish Supreme Court. Shal avicha v'yageitcha zkenecha v'yemru lach is a second pasuk. So since they instituted that you have to light Hanukkah candles, so we could say Hashem didn't tell us to light Hanukkah candles like He told us to put on tefillin, but He told us to listen to the Bezdin, the Sanhedrin, who were kaiveya to light Hanukkah candles. So the problem of Dikas Chametz being the Rabbanon doesn't cancel the possibility of a bracha. Why then did they not make the bracha Dikas Chametz but al Bir Chametz? And the answer is because Dikas Chametz is not the mitzvah. Dikas Chametz is the beginning of the mitzvah. Dikas Chametz is not lighting Hanukkah candles, that's the mitzvah. Reading the Megillah, lighting Shabbos candles, what did I say before? Hallel, Natilas Yadayim, the mitzvah is to wash your hands. Here, b'dikas chametz is only the first phase of the mitzvah. The mitzvah is to look for a chametz, and any chametz you find, then tomorrow you're going to destroy it. So we say, I'll beer chametz, because b'dika is only the hachana. It's the mitzvah, but it's the mitzvah that is a hachana to the beer. So whenever we say b'dika, we also mean beer. Very important.
According to Rashi, b'dika was.
According to Rashi, bittul. Rashi holds bittul, bittul is tashbisim. But here we're talking the takanas chazal, that bittul is not enough. You have to also do b'dika and, of course, beer. The chiddush of Rav was that b'dika and beer are not enough, and you have to do also bittul. Habaydik tzarech shevat. That was the chiddush. On this, the Gemarah wanted to understand my timer. What's the reason for this? Why would he necessitate the issue of bittul? So first, the natural answer is because there are crumbs that are likely left, and everyone understands that in most cases they're going to be there. So that would be the reason, because if you don't do bittul, so basically you have chametz in your house on Pesach, and you may transgress by your Monsey. And even if you're going to say that they're crumbs, which are smaller than a kazayas, and the isur of Bayirah Monsey perhaps is only on a kazayas which has chshivas, perhaps. You could debate that, but even so, nonetheless, we have a klal that chatzi shir is also awesome in Torah, meaning Am I allowed to eat? The Torah says you're not allowed to eat pork, right? How much is eating? A kazayas, the volume of an olive. Am I allowed to take a little piece of chazer and eat it? Am I or not? So it's not so pashut. It's an argument between Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish. If chatzi shir is mutter, min ha-Torah we're talking about. The Rabbanan said no, but min ha-Torah, one shitter, Rish Lakish holds it's mutter. You know, the Torah says you're not allowed to eat a kazayas, a half a kazayas, right? A little piece of chazer. You don't transgress anything. That's what he holds. Because the shir is a kazayas. Rabbi Yochanan argues, he says chatzi shir, asur min ha-Torah. Even a chatzi shir, there may not be a penalty, but it's still forbidden. Well, the halacha we say chatzi shir asur min ha-Torah. You're not allowed to eat a little shtickle pork, even if it's less than a kazayas. So if that's the case, the issue of not having a kazayas may not be. It doesn't help us. So let's say you have only little chametz, it's less than a kazayas. It still would be asur. If you paskin chatzi shir asur min ha-Torah, even if you say bayira is only with a kazayas, which is arguable. The problem here is not that. The issue here is it's a crumb, it's not chashav. It's bottle on its own. It's hefker on its own. It's ownerless on its own. It's worthless on its own. You don't have to do it. If that's the case, why should you have to do bittul for the crumbs? So the Gemarah thought, maybe we should say, that even though it's bottle on its own, but because indirectly you're protecting it because you're locking your home and it's automatically in your house, maybe that itself gives it some chashivas, even if it's unconscious. Because lepoil, in actuality, even though that's not your intention, you're not locking your house to protect your crumbs. You're locking your house to protect other stuff in the house. Let's hope there's other stuff in the house to protect outside of crumbs. But perhaps indirectly I'm protecting the crumbs. That itself creates a chshivas in them, and maybe it needs bittul. And if not, I'll be over on bayira. The Gemarah rejected that unequivocally from a clear brisa that proves that that's not the case. In a different context, where you guard your field, you have fence in your field. Why? Because you have significant fruits or vegetables there. Even though automatically garbage fruits, unripened fruits that are left on the tree, not fully developed and not of much value, are also protected. Nonetheless, if you don't care about them, if you're not makbet, anyone can take them. They're pater from Maisa because they're considered hefker, even though indirectly you're protecting them every single day and you make sure that the fence is locked, and if somebody keeps the fence open, you get upset, and if there's a breach in the fence, you right away call a technician to fix it. But it's not for that, it's for something else. So this is not considered that it assumes chashivas and nobody's allowed to take it, and it's chayiv and Maisa because it's not hefker. It is hefker. Why? Because it depends on your subjective relationship and attitude towards it. And if you don't care for it, we also don't care for it. Halacha doesn't give it a new chashivas. Crumbs is obviously something that a normal person is not makbet. We're talking about divrei Torah, a normal person is not makbet on crumbs. Were there situations, I mean, if a person, Chalila, we all know the stories in the war times and this, where a crumb became, more valuable than all richness and wealth. But we're talking in a normal situation. A normal situation, obviously crumbs are valueless and insignificant. So they wouldn't need bittul. So Rava came and is mechadash a nuvart. And what was the nuvart? That we're afraid that you did bdik and you did beer, but since you're human, and therefore you may have overlooked something. So Shema Yimtze Gluska Yafa, middle of Pesach, you may find a nice roll, and he puts it in two words, V'daite alei, or V'daite yilave, and his das will be on it. So Rashi explained, what does V'daite alei mean? So we learned that Rashi explained that what Rava is saying is that since it's chashav, it's a nice roll, so the person may delay the burning even rega echad. I'm not suspecting that he's not going to burn it. We're talking about an erlich yid, a frum yid, a yid who's committed to Torah mitzvahs. It's chametz on Pesach. He doesn't want chametz, but because it's a gluska yafa, almost instinctively he may just delay it for a moment. Rashi says an instant. That moment he's going to be transgressing bal yera, bal yemotze. He has his chametz in his house. He also will be failing to observe tashbisu. He has chametz that he didn't eliminate. This is not somebody else's chametz where you could say it's a non-Jewish chametz. We all have non-Jewish. Many of us have non-Jewish. This is my chametz. It's not non-Jewish chametz. It's my chametz. It's here. Before I find it, I don't transgress by Rabbi Motzei. At least according to most opinions. Why? Because I did a good dik and I did a good beer. There is a piece of chametz somewhere. That's called an onus. You did what you can. Did you do it perfectly? Maybe yes, maybe not. 90% is no chametz, 10% there is chametz, maybe 5%, 1%, I don't know what the percentage is. But Torah says if you do your job, it is what it is. If the chips fall, the chips fall. But now you're not an onus anymore. It's not chametz that's hidden and you don't have the ability to destroy it because you don't know about it. You do know about it, you found it. Nonetheless, because it's a nice roll, Rashi says, Chashuva hi be'enav. Chashuva be'enav, it just has a normal chshivas. Not because you don't care about Pesach, you don't care about chametz, but because you're a human being and it appeared suddenly, and you see it, and you may delay it for a moment. Rashi says, even regach, and you'll be over on by your by your matzah. However, if you did bittul before Pesach, so now, when you find this chametz, even if you don't do anything, even if you leave it a whole Pesach, you won't be over on by your matzah. Why? As Rashi says, the like kasav ela tashbisu. Torah says tashbisu, and he teaches tashbisu is bittul, and therefore it's like the chametz is not here; it's earth. So I found earth. I found a nice piece of earth in my house on Pesach. Fine, God bless you. Even if you do nothing, you're good. You're not over on tashbisu. You're not over on bayir rabbi matzeh. Emes, you still have to destroy it because the Chachamim said that even after you do bittul, you also have to do beer. And the reasons for that, Tosfos said, you may come to eat it, Shema Yavel Achloi. The Ran said, we're afraid that the bittul wasn't sincere lechatchila, because bittul is a serious thing, and maybe it wasn't belev shalom, that's why the Chachamim didn't rely on it. Whatever the reason for it is, as the Shulchan Aruch Harav explained, the definition is that the Chachamim said that bittul itself doesn't do the trick, and you'll still be over on Bayirah, Bayimatzeh, Midirabanan, and a Chiv Tashbisim Midirabanan if there was no beer. So of course you have to get rid of the Gluska Yafa even if you did bittul. Nobody's arguing. But if you delay it, all you're doing is, you're delaying your rabbinic obligation. You're not transgressing a biblical obligation. That's the accomplishment of bittul. So that way you're covered from all sides. You did bdika and beer, so you don't have chametz, you're not going to come to eat it. You did bdika and beer, so even if your original bittul was not ay, which may be, maybe not, you still won't be over because you don't have chametz in your house. On the other hand, to safeguard all possible problems, you also did bittul, so that even if the bdika wasn't perfect and you're going to find a gluska yafa, right? And now you have here a gluska yafa, you delay the burning even 1 minute, you still will not be over on any Isra by Rabbi Yimotzei min ha-Torah, because this chametz that you found is not yours, it's bottle, it's hefker. It doesn't belong to you, it's not shalcha. You made it ownerless before Pesach. You made it ownerless before Pesach. You were mevatel by b'dikas chametz, this chametz. You said, like we say, kol chamira v'chamiyah, the ikka b'rishusi. Rashi says, the ikka b'beisa hadeh. All the chametz that I have in my drishus, the la chazisi that I did not see, Udalaviarte that I did not destroy. Lebatal, v'leheve hefker, ka'afra, the ara. So you made it hefker, you made it batal, however you define bittul. Now I find this gluska yaf, it's fine, it's not mine, it's ownerless, doesn't belong to me, so I'm not over. Now go and burn it. And if you don't burn it, you'll be over by your rabbi yimotzim midrabanan. You will fail to do tashbisu midrabanan, but midaraisa you're completely covered. That's Rava's vart. Why Rav instituted or sheared what was instituted before him or during his days, it's not clear that Aboidik Tzarech Shivatliya.
So what's the machshava or dibur?
So the truth is, we'll see later, in a few places, the answer to your question is if bittul is belev or bedibur. In a few places, the Gemarah has an expression, mevatloi beliboy. Bittul is belev. Rashi also brings it here, mevatloi beliboy. But then Rashi says, you should say it. So some Rishonim say that that's taka enough. Beliboy is enough. In other words, when it says mevatlei beliboy, it doesn't only mean it has to be sincere. It means that bittul is enough. Min ha-Torah at least. Others say no. It has to be bedibur. You have to say it. Some say min ha-Torah, it could be belev, and the Rabbanon were mesaken to say it bedibur. So there's different ways of learning it. The svaras hamachloikas, what would be the logic? We'll see later. probably tomorrow's shir when we get into the different definitions of bittul in a detailed fashion, which I think will clarify why some say that you don't have to say anything, at least min haTorah. In other words, you could just, which is an interesting scenario. You stand up Erev Pesach and you just have a thought and nobody even knows and you're good. It's a very interesting mitzvah that you don't have usually in the whole Torah. Torah says get rid of the chametz, don't have any chametz, and you know how you do that? You do it by having a thought. You don't have to say anything. You just have a thought that I want everything should be like offer, and that's it. You don't do anything else. The whole house could be with chametz, at least min haTorah. It's a good ha'ara. Yeah. L'poyel, we do it b'dibur. L'poyel, because everyone holds that the chachamim were masakin to do it b'dibur. The question is, if you don't do it b'dibur, is it if you don't? If you do it b'dibur, it's for sure good. It does, as you say, speaking is always better because you're articulating it. But if you don't, did you fulfill bittul, right? So many say you did. Bittul is fine. One thing is sure, even if you say it, it's about expressing what you think. It's not just words. It's not lip service. The idea of bittul is a serious thing. If you don't know what you're saying, it's not bittul. So that everyone holds.
Well, the nafkamina would be, for example, for a person that just, let's say, a new Baal Tshuva that can say it. But
excellent question. And that's why it's very important for a Baal Tshuva to say it in English. It's very important for Baal Tshuva to say it in English. Yeah, and not just a Baal Tshuva. There are people who are not Baal Tshuva also don't understand Aramaic. Trust me. They can hear 100 times a day. Ba'olma divrachi ru'usei v'yamlich malchusei v'yatzmach prokane. Karev Mashiach. How many people can translate those words?
If it's a mitzvah, there has to be an action involved. And I think the other Rebbe says in Tanya that speech is considered.
That's true, but there are mitzvahs in machshava too. Right? There are mitzvahs, for example, emunah, avos Hashem, yiras Hashem, learning Torah when you're understanding the Torah.
If it doesn't come out in action, it's good?
Depends on the mitzvah. Depends what type of mitzvah. Sfiras ha'omer, I do bedibur. Birchas hamazon, I do bedibur. You're right. The halach is hirur lav kedibur dami. But those are mitzvahs like Birchas hamazon, Kriya Shema, etc. Even by Torah, it says v'dibar tabam. The question is by bittul. Remember, bittul is not a mitzvah that... Bittul is to get rid of chametz. So the question is, how do you get rid of chametz? Bittul has an objective. Tefillah, the objective is you want to communicate the tefillah or the benching. Bittul, you want to get rid of the chametz. So the question is, if machshav is enough.
You have to use your lips.
When
in tefillah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Hirur lav kedibur dami, in many mitzvahs of dibur. But is this that type of mitzvah? Now, take a look at the Bartanura for a few moments. Yeah.
Just to go back really quick, when we say Brir Chametz, and Revar Chametz on the normally we always know that we only make the bracha when it's right in front of you.
Yeah.
How come Chazal didn't institute it the next day when we actually burn the chametz, make that bracha?
Excellent question. Why didn't they make the bracha the next day? The answer is that because a bracha you make before you start the mitzvah. If they would only make the bracha the next day, then a whole night you did a mitzvah, there was no bracha on it. The b'dik is also a mitzvah. It's not the end goal of the mitzvah. The mitzvah has two phases. It's phase one. Phase one also deserves a bracha. It's not just b'dika is a hachana for a mitzvah. Buying a shofar in the store, you don't make a bracha, right? I'm going to make a bracha because I bought a shofar. Because the mitzvah is not to buy a shofar, the mitzvah is to hear shofar. If you're not going to buy a shofar, you're not going to be able to hear shofar, right? You understand what I'm saying? If you don't go to the shofar and order a tefillin, you're not going to be able to put on tefillin, but nobody goes to the shofar and says, to order tefillin from the shofar, or to write tefillin. Even though it's important, but that's a hechsher mitzvah, it's a hachana for the mitzvah.
Right, I'm surprised they didn't do B'dikas Chametz as a
but I'm saying B'dikas Chametz is a mitzvah, but it's phase one, and phase two is tomorrow. It's a mitzvah that extends over 12 hours.
Surprised they didn't make a bracha that night on B'dikas Chametz, and the following morning
a new bracha. They didn't want to make a separate bracha because b'dika is not independent. Because b'dika without beer is worthless. It's mamish worthless. It's actually an aveda. You're making it worse. If you don't do beer, b'dika is making it worse. Because at least if you don't do b'dika, the chametz remains eino yodua. And some say a chametz sheini yodua is not a problem. If you boidik, in other words, if you're not dealing with your skeletons, don't deal with your skeletons. Once you bring up the skeletons, you got to deal with them. The worst is bringing up the skeletons and not dealing with them.
Isn't it similar when we watch our Monsey, we make Netilas Yadayim, and then we make Monsey right after, so one leads to the other. But theoretically, if you don't do Netilas Yadayim and you never wind up making a Monsey.
It's a good question. By Netilas Yadayim and Monsey, the purpose of Netilas Yadayim is that you should eat bread with clean hands. Right. And the reason they did it is because much of the bread that used to be eaten was truma. Remember, truma was grain. What do you do with most wheat and barley and spelt and oats and rye? You turn it into bread. So much of the bread that was eaten in the market was truma for kohanim. That's what the kohanim did with the grain. So there was a huge amount of bread that it wasn't mixed. It wasn't mixed, but a huge amount of truma was turned into bread. If a kohen touches truma with hands that are tameh, right, the truma becomes impure. The yadayim are shniyas l'tumah. Yadayim, hands that are not washed, have a geder of tumah. Right? Status quo is tummy because the hands touch a lot of things and people are not always careful. So automatically when they would touch their bread, the bread becomes tummy. So let's say you have a son-in-law who's a kohen. Okay? I don't want to say you have a son who's a kohen because then you're probably also a kohen. But if you have, you probably know the joke, yeah? Guy came to Shul and the Rav said, "It's a kohen, a kohen, a kohen." He said, "No, there's no kohen." And then this fellow went over and he says he would like to buy the schus of being a kohen. He said, "How much? 10,000, not enough." And then he offered a nice amount of money and he agreed. And he gave the money and he became a kohen. Then he says, "Why do you want to be a kohen?" He says, "Because my father was a kohen, my grandfather was a kohen, etc." But let's say your daughter marries a kohen and he comes for a Shabbos meal, right? And he's eating his truma. He has a lot of truma to eat. So I can't eat his truma, but he's eating his truma. He and his wife and his children are having this big family meal, and one family is kohenim, and they got to go wash their hands. And it's very, very uncomfortable that the kohenim are discriminated against or chosen to go wash their hands. So the Chachamim said that whoever washes for bread should always wash their hands. It's only because of kohenim. Because if a Yisrael eats bread, even if the bread became tameh, so what happens? You're allowed to eat tameh bread. But truma tameh, you're not allowed to eat. You have to burn it. It's a big isser to eat truma tameh. You understand? So the reason we're all washing our hands every day before bread is just because of the honor of the kohenim. If they sit down by a meal, they shouldn't always be. And remember, today you have sinks in the kitchen. It's not so complicated. Then there were no sinks in the kitchen. You know how you got water, like Rivka. You went to the river, you went to the well. It wasn't so simple. So in the morning or at night, they would bring water to our house, but it wasn't just simple, let's go wash our hands, we're going to the kitchen. Sometimes it was a very complicated situation. So the poor kohen and his wife and his children are all running every meal. They're running to the well, before they sit down for a meal. It takes an hour and a half of exercise. I mean, it's good for the exercise, but it wasn't fair. So the Chachamim said, everyone washes their hands before bread, which is, of course, also practical because it shouldn't be light-headed. If it would be only the kohen, they would say, okay, I'm going to be late. Like this, everybody has to wash their hands. It was a brilliant takana. Now the question is, nobody eats truma anymore. Nobody eats truma anymore. Right? Because we can't have truma. All our truma is considered tameh. We don't give truma to the kohen anymore because it doesn't have a get of truma tahira. Kolonu tmei meis. And the answer for this, in Shulchan Aruch and Hilchas Netilas Yadayim, I think it's Siman Kuf Nun Ches, in the Mishnah Brura, the Lavush, and the Shulchan Aruch Rav, is a fascinating idea. That the Chachamim were preparing for Bias HaMashiach every day. For the coming of Mashiach every day. When Mashiach comes, we're going to go back to have Truma. The Kohanim are going to have to wash their hands. So for 2,000 years, how flidic thing. For 2,000 years, every meal that Jews eat, anywhere in the world, they have to wash their hands before eating bread, because since Mashiach could come any day, we're going to go back to Truma, and the Kohanim are going to have to wash their hands, but they're not going to be used to washing their hands. Why are they not going to be used to washing their hands? Because for 2,000 years, nobody washed their hands. So therefore, they maintained the mitzvah of Netilas Yadayim throughout all of Golus. Throughout all of Golus, because Mashiach could come any day, you're going to go back to Truma, we're good. It's Truma, we still wash our hands. It's a Peladika thing, it's a Moedadika thing. Huh? So you just learned something new. Okay, now you know why you wash your hands. Jews go wash their hands, it's part of Emunah and Biyas HaMashiach. People say, I'm going to do Mezainis bread. I want Mezainis bread, yeah? You're losing out that Nakud. It's a tremendous thing. It's because it's a serious institution in the Jewish world. And let's say it's a schlep too, right? Washing hands comes with you got to go wash, and then there's of course Birchas Hamazon. It's a whole avodah. But this was the Emunah of Biyas HaMashiach. It's a fascinating thing. This is not Chassidische Wort. This is a Mishnah Brura.
That's why you make the bracha at the end.
Yeah, that's also mitzvah the Tumah.
The Tumah, yeah.
Over there, you make the bracha after. Usually, you make the bracha before. So let's see what the Bartanura says. The Bartanura says, we learned this on Daf Beis, but it becomes relevant here to this Gemarah. Rabbeinu Evadia Bartanura, you see, it's the left Orlar Ba'asa, right? Boitkinas Achametz. It's on the left column. You see Rabbeinu Evadia Bartanura. It's a complicated page here. We'll post it also on the website on the yeshiva.net, whoever wants to see it on the web. See, Boitkinas Achametz. You're with me? There's two columns, right? The right column is Tosfos Yom Tov. You want to go to the left columm, right near the Mishnah, Erlar Ba'asa Boitkim, left column, Boitkinas Achametz. Is the Mefarshi Taimi de B'dika, Kadei Shlayavra Ba'ira Ba'yimatzim Yir Chametz B'Beisei B'Pesach. There are those who explain B'dika, why? So that you shouldn't transgress Ba'ira Ba'yimatzei if you find Chametz in your house on Pesach. That's why you need B'dika. Who's Ista Mefarshi? Rashi. Rashi is the one who says that you have to do b'dikas chametz, so that you're not over on Bayira Bayimatzeh when you find the chametz in your house. That's Rashi. Asks the Bartanura, va'afal gav de b'bittel ba'al masagi. This is Tosfos' question. Even though bittel is enough, so why do you need b'dika not to be over? Chashinan, we're afraid shema yimtza gluska yaf yafiyah. You may find a nice roll, v'yimalech al bitula, and you're going to regret your bittel. V'yachshoiv alei la'achla. And you're going to think to eat it. V'yaver alav ba'yira ba'yimatz. And then you're going to transgress. Hilchach boitkim asachametz k'dei levarim in islands. That's why you have to do b'dikah to get rid of the chametz. So maybe you won't find a nice roll and think about it to eat it. That's what the Bartanura says. This is, he says on the Mishnah. Huh? But our Gemarah is talking about why you have to do bittul. He's talking about why you have to do b'dikah. This is on the first Mishnah of Pesachim. It says, Erlar Ba'aser Boitkim Asachametz. Rashi says, Kedei Shaloi Laver of Ba'ira Ba'yimatzeh. Frek Tosfos, that's not why you have to do b'dikah. You're doing bittul anyway. Midai Raisa, bittul is enough. So you can do bittul, you don't have to do b'dikah. That's the big question of Tosfos and Rashi. Why did Rashi decide you need b'dikah? Tosfos says, you're right, you don't have to do b'dikah for Ba'ira Ba'yimatzeh. I'm not worried, you have to do b'dikah. Oh, so he now takes the Gemarah from Daf Vav, that's Svara, brings it to Daf Beis, yeah, and explains Rashi why B'dikah is like what's his Svara? That if you only did bittul, so where's the chametz? The chametz is left in the house because you only did bittul, right? So it's good. You're not even a bayir. What's the problem? The problem is you may find a nice roll, and you're going to regret the bittul. You're going to regret the bittul. Yimalech al bitula. V'yachshav alei la'achla. And you're going to think about it to eat it. And what happens? You're going to be over by Rabbi Matzah. Because you did bittul, you regretted the bittul. When? In the middle of Pesach, you regretted the bittul. Because you want to eat it. And you're over by Rabbi Matzah right then. Because you didn't do b'dikah, you didn't do beer, and your bittul is gone. So the Chachamim said, get rid of the chametz. If you get rid of the chametz, then I'm not afraid. Why? Because there's no chametz here. They to find, to want to eat. So what? You're not going to regret your bittul. First of all, you won't regret your bittul, and you won't find chametz, so you're good. So you won't be able to buy Rabbi Matzah. That's what the Bartanura time is. Then he brings the second reason. There's a second view. We know this is Tosfos' view. That the reason is because you may find chametz in your house and eat it. And why are we afraid you're going to eat it? Because you're so accustomed to eat chametz because you're not separated from it the rest of the year. This is Rabbeinu Evadim Bartanura, his chiddush in the Mishnah, in Rashi. His own. This is what he says on his own. If you take a look in Tosfos Yom Tov, Rabbeinu Evadim Bartanura is the Pirush HaMishnayos. The Tosfos Yom Tov, Rabbeinu Yom Tov Lipman Halevi Heller, has a commentary on the Mishnah as well. Okay, take a look at his comment. It's the right column. Now you got to go to the right column. You see, Boitkin Asachametz. Kosav Harav. Kosav Harav means Rabbeinu Bartanura. Va'afal Gav. It's an Italian name, of course. Va'afal Gav de Bittul Ba'al Masagi. Bittul is enough. The Yalpina midiksiv tashbisu v'loiksiv tevaru v'ashbasa the levi ashbasa k'depirish Rashi davdalad amid beis. So even though bittul is enough, the Chachamim said do b'dikah. Umasha kasav shema yimtze v'yimalach al betuloi v'yachshav aleilach. Keloima. Let me explain the Bartanura. Listen to his words. The kamoyu shebebittel ba'alma. Just like regular bittel. Dahainu believe. What does it mean, bittel? It means in your heart. Sheyachshav beliboy. You should think in your heart, in your mind. Ki'iluhu afar. You should imagine in your mind that these pieces of chametz are earth, are dust, even though they're not. They're nice foods. But that's what bittul is. That in your machshava, in your imagination, they're afar. Now, it doesn't mean that you're having a hallucination. It means that they're as valuable as afar. It doesn't mean that you go through some, you go through some hypnosis and it's not bread anymore. It's afar. That's not what the Chachamim are saying. It means yachshav belei ki'ilu afar. Just like afar is insignificant, it's valueless. You're not interested in it. You don't have a tzoyrich in it. You don't need it. It's worthless. It's as though it's not here. It doesn't mean anything. This also. Usually a piece of bread means a lot. A bottle of mashka means a lot. It's breakfast, it's lunch, it's dinner. I could sell it. I can give it to a friend. I could bring it out as a party. But this is offer. I'm not interested in it. Absolutely no need. That's how he teaches it. Kilo offer. So just like when you do that, sagi bekach. Next page. It's enough. Left column, sagi bekach. Afal pishlo hitzi besvas of klum. Even though you didn't say anything with your mouth. Clearly the Tosfos Yom Tov learns, like the Shittas, that all of bittul happens in machshava. If you want to say it, you could say it, but that's not what bittul is. Bittul is a sincere experience and imagination, thought that this chametz for me is exactly like offer, exactly like the dust in my house. So hachenami, says the Bartanura, b'machshava ba'alma choyzer mibituloi. Through just a machshava, you could go back from the bittul, v'zoicheba, and acquire the chametz. Why? The machshava mevatelas machshava. Because machshava can obliterate machshava. And since the whole bittul is an inyan of machshava, so therefore, a second machshava cancels out the bittul, and their Bartanura holds, and you're over on by your Rabbi Monsey. And that's why the Chazal said, do b'dik and beer, because I'm afraid with bittul, even though it was a good bittul, but then you're going to come across Sashen Shtikl Chametz, and what? And you'll be Chayzim Bittul Yachshav Alei La'achla, the Bartanura says. So Rabbi Yaakov asked a Gavaldik question. What was his question? L'cha'ira, the Gemarah and the Avav Amid Beis that we just learned is a major stida to this Bartanura. Because what does the Gemarah and the Avav Amid Beis say? Rava said that the reason we do bittul is because even if you did b'dikam biur, you may find a gluska yafa. And we see the Bartanura knew the Gemarah because he took the words from the Gemarah. He didn't get gluska yafa from an Italian professor. He took the words from the Gemarah. So he took the words from gluska yafa, yeah. Now what did the Gemarah say? You may find a gluska yafa. And what's going to happen? What's going to happen is daitay alei. Your das is on it. Your das is on it. So what happens now? You're over. I'm by your Rabbi Monsey because you didn't do bittul. You did b'dika, but you have chametz there, and you're going to be over. That's what the Gemarah said, as Rashi explained. So what does Rava say? What's the solution for this crisis? To do bittul. To do bittul before Pesach, and then what happens? If you find the gluskiyafa, what happens? You're good. But the Bartanura just told me at Daf Beis that that's the whole reason for b'dika. The whole reason for b'dika is because the bittul is going to be cancelled. Because you may find the gluskiyafa, and daite alei, and it's going to be cancelled. That's why you have to do b'dika. But in the Gemarah, that's the reason you have to do bittul. The reason you have to do bittul is as a solution for the gluska yafa, that even if you find the gluska yafa and you like it, Rashi says, chashuvi beinov, the fact that you did bittul yesterday eliminates all the problems. You're not even by your Rabbi Monsey if you did bittul. But according to Bartanura, what do you mean? That's the whole reason you have to do b'dika. Because if you only do bittul and you find the gluska yafa and you like it, you're going to change your mind. And that changing of the mind uproots the bittul. In simple words, the chametz is not offer anymore. Suddenly from offer, it turned into a Cleopatra. It turned into a very prominent queen, a very prominent entity. We're talking Midoraisa.
Right. Midoraisa, you really did. You were Makayim Bittul.
You were Makayim Bittul, no question. But the Bartanura said that Bittul enough is not enough. Why? Because in the middle of Pesach, you're going to find a gluska yafa, and you know what? You're going to like it. Yachshav alayla ochla. We're afraid. We're not sure it's going to happen. But maybe you may find a gluska yafa in the middle of Pesach and say, Feh, cha, arois, shegetz arois.
That's the machshava that is good.
That's good. That's good. But I'm afraid this guy is a carb addict, right? It's before the days of kosher Pesach macaroons and lady fingers and pizza and bagels and blitzes, etc. Today, some places you don't know the difference. Yeah, you even have sushi with quinoa. Even if you're an Ashkenazi, you can't have rice. They do sushi with quinoa. It's very hard to know the difference. Yeah. I went to a Pesach program. They served pizza and Studa sandwiches and big challahs. It was all kosher Pesach, but it's big challahs. Yeah, mamish bagels, rolls, breakfast with butter. Everybody's eating bagels with butter. Sure, it's kosher Pesach. I don't have tightness to them, right? But it's funny, pretty funny. Certainly, those stressful Erev Pesachs in Jewish homes. With I grew up with squeezing the oranges a half a day. Remember the squeezing the oranges, etc., etc. So some people still maintain it, v'tavi aleim bracha, but some kids have completely forgotten that. Okay, so in any case, if you look at the chametz and you say fair, but he's afraid that what, as the Bartanura says, yachshav alei la'achlei v'yamalech al betulei. So you're going to be over. So what does bdika and beer accomplish? I'm not afraid because he got rid of the chametz. Okay, the Vava Medbei suddenly the Gemarah suddenly says exact opposite. That the solution of bittul helps. That if you find a gluska yafa, what's going to happen? Even though daite alei, as Rashi says, chashuv be'einav, it's chashuv. Nonetheless, you already did bittul.
If you did bittul with by peh, then the machshava won't undo it.
So you want to say that's why Rashi says liba, and then Rashi says you should say it. Because if you say it, the machshava won't undo it. That's what you're saying. Machshava mevatelas machshava. That's why Rashi says v'yoymar. Because if you say it, then it won't undo the machshava. I'm sorry, then the machshava won't undo the dibur. That's what you're saying. That's why Rashi adds v'yoymar. So that way, the bittul will not get undone. Even though you taka like it, and you're delaying the burning, right? But the bittul will still not get undone. Why? Because it came into dibur. So you say, if it was a machshava, it would be a problem. That's why Rashi adds, v'yomer has to be dibur. Huh? No, he's saying that the first bittul is b'dibur, the cancellation of the bittul is b'machshava. A guy doesn't say, huh? Right. L'cha'ira, the problem with that is, if so, the Chachamim didn't have to be masakim b'dika. They could have just said, do bittul b'dibur. The Chachamim didn't have to do b'dika. They could have said, it's a geschmack of word you're saying, but the Chachamim could have said, do bittul with words. What do you have to make the poor guy clean out his whole house? Do bittul with words, and then you're good. You'll find a piece of chametz, you're going to love it, you're going to want to eat it, but it's fine. It doesn't cancel the bittul, because the bittul was b'dibur. But they didn't do that. They said you have to do b'dika and beer.
They didn't want chametz around because there's too much of a temptation in front of the person, the nice rolls.
Okay, so that's Shema Yavi La'achloi. That's Tosfos, that you may come to eat it. But we're talking now Rashi. Rashi doesn't say you do b'dika because you may come to eat it. Because it's tempting. He says you shouldn't be over on Bayirah, Bayimatzeh. That's a different creature. Rashi doesn't say because it's a nice piece of chametz and people love pizza. That I understand. That's Tosfos. Rashi says because you're going to be over on Bayirah, Bayimatzeh. Just having it is a problem. That's the problem with Rashi. You understand? Rashi would say because it's tempting, I accept that. That's glot. That's simple. Rashi says it's much worse. Having it is a problem. Why is having it a problem? I did bittul. So the Bartanura says because your bittul is cancelled. Now, perhaps you could say that basically, isn't it a funny thing, according to the Bartanura, they did bittul because they were afraid Shamayim Segluska Yafa, right? So bdika is not enough. So just do bittul, but they were afraid Shamayim Segluska Yafa. It's basically, according to the Bartanura, both takanas are exactly for the same reason. Both. Why do you have to do bdika? Shamayim Segluska Yafa. You may find a Gluska Yafa. because you only do bittul, right? So you may find the gluska yafa and you may cancel it. Okay, so let's do only bittul. But so that for that we said Shamim Gluska yafa. So now let's do the opposite. Let's do only bdika and beer. Here again, Shamim Gluska yafa. So that in itself, I have no problem. You could say that. You do both because you want to cover it from all angles. In other words, you say like this: bittul is not enough because Shamim Gluska yafa and bittul may be cancelled. I got that. Okay. So that's why I have to get rid of the chametz. So just get rid of the chametz. The problem of just getting rid of the chametz is I could get rid of the chametz, and it's beautiful because it eliminates the concern of Shamim Gluska yafa. But we all understand that even if you get rid of the chametz, you still may not do it perfectly. Let's say 90% you cover it, 95%, but there's still 5% chance you're going to find. So that's why I also do bittul. But if you only do bittul, Shamim Gluska yafa. So therefore do bdika. But if you only do bdika, I have no problem with the fact that you're doing it from all angles and you're afraid. Yeah, you're right. Usually you won't find, right? If you do bdika and beer, you won't find. That's why we masaka bdika and beer. How can the Gemarah contradict itself and say you will find? Because we all understand you have to do bdika or beer because you won't find, but it's still possible you're going to find. It's a little strange, but you can understand that you're bavaring it from every possible angle in this. The challenge in the Bartanura is the contradiction in Teuch, that the Gemarah says clearly. You get what I'm saying? The fact that he uses the same reason for both sides, Mela. He's trying to cover all bases from every angle, as unusual as it is, just to keep you safe, not 90%, not 98%, not 99%, 100%. Fine, I understand the value of that. A yid shouldn't be over by Rabbi, Monsey. On Pesach, we're ready to go to full extremes and not have any loophole. Granted. We'll do everything. So you do this, you do that, you do that, you do that. Be yotzef for every possible issue. The challenge of the Bartanura is the Teuch. You're telling me that through bittul, what does bittul accomplish? That even if you find a nice piece of chametz, you're not over. As Rashi says, even though it's chosh, you're not over. But the Bartanura clearly explained that the reason you have to do bdika is because if you do find and you like it, you're oike the bittul. This is a complicated thing. What was he thinking? Huh? Say it no. That's the key. What does he mean? What's your shaila of Yachshav alei la'achla? What's frexta? Huh? Oh, the Bartanura adds 3 words. He doesn't say v'yimolech al betulei just. He says v'yachshav alei la'achla. He's going to think to eat it. Now I want to ask you a question. Who are we dealing here with? We're dealing with a Parshas Yisrael? We're dealing with a sinner? If you want to deal with Parshas Yisrael, then Pesachim. If somebody doesn't care about Yiddishkeit, then he doesn't care not about Bayirah, Monsey, Tashbisu, Bdika. We're talking about somebody who cares. The whole Mishnah and Gemarah was written for a Jew who cares about Yiddishkeit. Somebody who doesn't care, fine, it's a separate issue. That's a separate issue. What do you mean? It's going to be Pesach. Shema yimtza gluska yafa v'yachshav alei la'achla. I understand. Teves says Shema yavoy la'achla. You can make a mistake. It happened before that Shabbos morning people come down. They forget it's Shabbos, right? They forget it's Shabbos, and they do something. You open a refrigerator that has a light inside. You do something that you're used to doing because people make mistakes. That's what Shema Yavei La'achloi means. If we would have never done b'dikas a biur, and we're used to eating chametz a whole year, by mistake, instinctively I open the pantry, yeah, and I take out a shtikol mezainis. Oh, it's Pesach. It's not what the Bartanura is saying. Bartanura is saying Shema Yom Tzigluske Yafe v'Yachshav Alei La'achla. What, you can have a machshava to eat chametz on Pesach? If that's the type of guy you're dealing with, so then close up shop. If he wants to eat on Pesach, so what? So making him do bdika is going to help? He's ready to eat Pesach, but he's going to listen to you to do bdika. It's an issue kares to eat chametz on Pesach.
Shabbos, such a split second. I can say, oh,
Isn't that what the kid asked?
You forgot it's Pesach.
No. Huh?
That's the whole reason you said that. That's what it did. People think that way, but initially,
No, I understand. I understand by mistake.
His bodily instinct is faster than machshava.
Huh?
His bodily instincts are faster than machshava.
Are faster than machshava. No. I understand a person could make a mistake, but what does he mean? It's Pesach. If he doesn't know it's Pesach, he doesn't know it's Pesach. Yimalech al bitulay, v'yachshav alei la'achla. That's what he pashut means. That you're going to see a piece of chametz and you say, "I know it's Pesach."
The immediate instinct is to eat.
Huh?
Maybe forgot that it's Pesach.
So he forgot that it's Pesach. And what is he going to do? He's going to be choshev to eat the chametz. No, he doesn't say eat. V'yachshav alei la'achlei, and mele v'yaver alav b'yirah b'yimatzeh.
He goes to Pras Osher. He comes back and his uncle left a whole binge of canes of Moscow. He might just for a second.
Rashi doesn't say v'yachshav alei la'achlei b'yas. What does Rashi say? Rashi says, Chashuvi be'enav v'chasa leh l'sorfa u'masha afilu rega echad v'nimtza over l'vayra b'yimatzeh. Huh?
That sounds a lot worse.
Rashi doesn't say chashuv alei la'achla. Rashi could have also, the Bartanura put in new words here. Rashi could have also said the same thing. Chashuv alei la'achla. He doesn't say that. You know why? That would be oiker the bittul. That would undo the bittul. Rashi says a whole different pshat. He doesn't say chashuv alei la'achla. Let's put it this way. If I forget that it's Pesach and I come to eat it, then the problem is not I was oiker the bittul. The problem is I ate chametz on Pesach. So that's already Tosfos' reason. If the Bartanura means you forgot it's Pesach, okay? You forgot it's Pesach, and you see a piece of chametz and you eat it. So then you don't have to say, so you oiker your bittul. You have a much bigger problem. You get what I'm saying? You understood what I just said? The Bartanura is explaining Rashi. Why do you have to do bdika? You shouldn't be over by your Rabbi Yamatzeh. Why would you be over by your Rabbi Yamatzeh? You did bittul. The answer is because you're going to see a gluska yafa and you're going to have a thought to eat it. So you're explaining. You forget it's Pesach and you're going to see a nice piece of chametz and you're going to think to eat it and you may implement it. So then the issue is not that your bittul is cancelled. That's part of the problem. The issue is you ate chametz on Pesach. And then Rashi and Tosfos are saying exactly the same thing. So Rashi could have just said, because you'll forget it's Pesach. The Bartanura is not saying you're going to eat it. And that's why he doesn't say v'yachlei. He says v'yachshav alei la'achlei. What's this v'yachshav alei? What? He's going to plan a suda? Knowing it's Pesach, not knowing it's Pesach. If he doesn't know it's Pesach, so just say he may come to eat it. He does know it's Pesach, so he's going to sit down and say, okay, I'm going to plan to eat this on Pesach. What does the Bartanura mean? V'yachshav alei la'achlei.
Is it after Pesach?
Oh, after Pesach. He's a frum yid, he's an ehrlich yid. Let's understand the scenario here. In the first case, he did bittul. Where's all of his chametz? His chametz stayed in the house, right? Remember that. Huh? He didn't do b'dikah. He didn't do... Huh? The whole house is filled with chametz. He may not leave it out on the counter and on the table because he has to eat matzah and whatever, he's working there. But the whole house, wherever you have chametz, there's chametz. In the initial idea that you could do bittul without b'dikah. So first of all, the Shema Yimtza is not such a Shema. It's not 2%. It may be 50%, 60%, 70%, right? Even if you clean it up a little bit, but you didn't do anything. You didn't do any b'dikah, you didn't do any bit. So it's first of all not 90% that you're not going to find. It's not like Haboidik Tzarech Sheyevatel, where Shema Yimtza is an abnormal thing. Here the Shema Yimtza is, I would be surprised if he doesn't find. Let's remember that. And that's what you have to remember here. He has a house filled with chametz. He did bittul. He did a good bittul. Now comes Pesach. And he sees gluska yafa. V'yachshav alei la'achlei. What he says is, after Pesach, you know, it's good I didn't throw it out, because after Pesach, this is a good thing. I'm making a bris, I'm making a bar mitzvah, and actually I needed a good bottle of mashke, and this would be good. Not that he's going to eat it now. He knows it's Pesach. That's not the issue. V'yachshav alei la'achlei after Pesach. Why v'yachshav alei la'achlei after Pesach? Because it's a nice piece of chametz. I did bittul, right? I'm not even a bayra by Yamatzeh, My whole house is filled with chametz. Understand the issue. I see this piece of chametz in my house. It's a gluska yafa, meaning it's a nice, expensive, exquisite piece of chametz. I don't eat it. I'm not talking about I eat it. I know it's Pesach. V'yachshav alei, not la'achle today. La'achle in 8 days. Not that I'm now planning the suda to have chametz. I'm just thinking, it's a nice thing that I have this shtickle chametz and I can eat it after Pesach. Why do I want to eat it after Pesach? Not now. I know you're not allowed to eat chametz now. Why do I want to eat it after Pesach? Because I have it. It's wonderful. I have the cake. This is where the expression came from. You get the cake and you get to eat it too. Quite literally. You got the cake and you get to eat it too. You did bittul. So now it's afar. And after Pesach, you have a good piece of cake to eat. Huh? No, you did bittul. It's hefker. You did bittul. It's not chametz shevel Pesach. It's not chametz.
I was just mevatel it.
Huh?
I was just mevatel it. I was mevatel my bittul.
And after Pesach, you'll be koined from hefker, and you'll be zoichet.
Isn't that what he's saying?
So the bartenura taina is the moment you do that, the moment you have a machshava. After Pesach, you're going to eat it. You're not trying to transgress Pesach. If you're trying to violate Pesach, then you're not going to do b'dika also. Chacham say do b'dika. I don't want to do b'dika. Do beer. I don't want. We're not talking about a Jew who wants to. If you want to violate Pesach, so then there's no takana for you. Do whatever you want. Can make a takana. Don't eat chazer. Go eat chazer. You want to eat chametz, eat chametz. You don't want to do b'dika. I can't. We're talking about a Jew who wants to keep Pesach. The whole Mishnayos was talking about a Jew who cares about Yiddishkeit. If you don't care, you don't care. You always have to remember that. V'yachshav alei la'achli just means there's a nice piece of chametz. After Pesach, it'll be good to eat. What's happening at that moment? He just undid his whole bittul. The whole bittul says what? This is offer. This is worthless. It's a joke. You ever look at a piece of offer in your house and you say, after Pesach, this piece of dust is a good piece of dust.
Well, it cannot be after Pesach, but the Gemara says clearly.
V'yachshav alei la'achla after Pesach.
Yeah, but later on, he says in the same statement, Be Pesach.
No.
Yachlu even she'ein rogel.
No, that's Teves. He changed shit. You're going to is the Amri. That's a second opinion. He's talking the first opinion. That's why Rashi here doesn't say v'yachshav alei la'achla. Rashi knows Bartenura made up new words. He made new words. Rashi doesn't say you'll find a piece of chametz and you're going to think to eat it after Pesach. You know why? Then all your bittul is out the window. Avodas Hashem is out the window. Rashi doesn't say that. Rashi says something else. Rashi says you're going to find a gluska yafa. It's Pesach. You don't want to eat it, and you're not going to eat it after Pesach. And you know it's Pesach. You're not planning to eat it. Rashi doesn't say it's chashuvi be'einav, and therefore you say, "Wow, I'm happy. I'm happy it's in the house. You know why? After Pesach I get to eat it." That's not what you do. If you did that, your bittul is out the window. It's worthless. You've been vatal 1,000 times. You just undid your whole bittul, according to the Bartenura, that you can undo bittul b'machshava, which is his shitta. Rashi says something else completely. It's Pesach. You want to get rid of it. Umasha afilu rega echad, because you have rachmanis. It's a different creature. It's 2,000 bucks. It's not so easy to take 2,000 bucks. People have mashka. I don't know. Anybody here is a connoisseur of mashka? I don't know. Yeah. Well, how much are some of those bottles worth?
Good cognac could cost at least $300.
But I'm talking about the 200 years. They offer from Scotland 200 years from Queen Victoria.
There is good Macallan bottle.
Yeah. I was at Monsey Shabbos at a lecture a few months ago from Lev La'achim. It was a Flatbush lecture, and they auctioned off there a bottle which they said is worth $25,000. Huh? $25,000, and people were into it. Okay. Unfortunately, I'm not a connoisseur. Maybe fortunately, huh?
I saw bottles of mashka in the airport in, I think it was Switzerland, I've never gone to the Ukraine. $250,000 for...
$250,000 for what?
For some bottle of old, I don't know.
What makes it $250,000? Okay. So that's a good illustration. Although I don't know if that Rashi, they say that Rashi was a wine. Or some people say Rashi was into wine, but even not $250,000. Okay, even $2,000, even $300. Yeah, I'm a ehrlich yid. It's Pesach. I'm not thinking to eat it after Pesach. I know I have to burn it because it's chametz and it's mine. I have to get rid of it, and I'm going to do it. But Masha, you hesitate. Because you're a person, you hesitate. It's a gluska yafa. And remember, in those days, a gluska yafa meant a lot. It meant a lot. Even if it wasn't $25,000, it meant a lot. Chosale. Chosale just means you're delaying it. Not your molich mi bituloi. It's afar. You say it's afar. But chosale.
Why not? Why not? Why aren't we kosher that he's going to want to eat it after Pesach or after Nida? If you're going to be doing Shemitz Gluska.
Good question. Haguf kasha. Be choishish that he's going to want to eat it after Pesach and he's going to undo the bittul. Excellent question. Good answer.
Because they don't eat it.
I am choishish. Now give me a solution. Good. I am choishish that he's going to want to eat it after Pesach. So now give me a solution. He did it. He didn't take care of me. He did it. You're right. I'm choishish. I'm going to be a bottle of mashka and I'm going to want to eat it after Pesach. You're right. It's a problem. So give me now a solution. What should I do?
There is no solution.
There's no solution. Exactly. So what should we do now? Make magic? You're right. He did. He did b'dika and beer. In the Mishnah, you're asking, why do b'dika just do bittul? And for the Bartanura, because if you have a house filled with chametz, you may find a gluska yafa, and you're going to want to eat it after Pesach, and you want the bittul, you have to buy Rabbi Monsey. Get rid of all the chametz. But when you get rid of all the chametz, is it certain there's nothing there? No. Here, you got rid of all the chametz. You got rid of all the chametz. You understand? It's an opposite tenua. But now I'm saying you get rid of all the chametz, you still may find a piece of chametz. Because you don't necessarily get rid of everything, you may overlook. What's going to happen now? What's going to happen now if you didn't do bittul? Right? If you think to eat it after Pesach, yeah? We're talking you didn't do bittul. You taka over Rabbi Monsey just because you're leaving it. Just because you're leaving it. So now, if you don't do bittul and you think about eating it after Pesach, you didn't do bittul, so I don't care. The main thing is beer. If you do beer right away, you're good. I don't care what you're thinking. There's no mitzvah that beer chametz has to be with enthusiasm. I don't care what you're thinking. Even if you think, it's a shot, it's a pity, you burnt the chametz. We're talking there's no bittul. And if you delay the beer, whether you're thinking or not thinking, you're still over. So we say do bittul. What does bittul accomplish? Bittul accomplishes that when you find it, it's considered afar. Yeah? You're telling me he may come and think to eat it afterwards? He would. So what's the solution? Nothing. What are you supposed to do? He did b'dika, he did beer. So 98% that won't happen. He did bittul, so even if it does happen, and he has rachmanis for a few moments, he still wasn't oiker the bittul. Why wasn't he oiker the bittul? Because yachshav alei la'achle means, I want to eat it after Pesach. That's not what he's saying. He's not saying I want to eat it after Pesach. What is he doing? He's hesitating. Is that oiker the bittul? Is that oiker the bittul? It doesn't uproot the bittul. If you think I'm going to eat it after Pesach, what are you really saying? Huh? The bittul didn't mean anything. It's a joke. It's not offer.
It's a conscious machshava.
It's a conscious machshava. In 8 days, this is a good piece of food. We want to eat it. I'm using it for the bar mitzvah. It's very good for the head table. You understand? What you're basically saying is this bittul is a joke. It's not offer. It's something that I'm planning.
How's that different than what
But here what I'm saying is, I'm not saying he's moilechal bitula. In other words, when the Rav says, v'daitoy alei, when he meets it, when the Rav says v'daitoy, he doesn't say the words, but when he says daitoy alei, and Rashi says daitoy alei, it's two different das. His das is, in the Bartanura, you're going to come to eat it after, you're thinking of eating it after Pesach. Rashi doesn't say that. Rashi says, it's a chosh of a piece. If it's a chosh of a piece, you may delay the burning for a few seconds. You're not making it ois offer. If you believe that it's not offer, why you're burning it? You want to burn it. But chasale melasarfa means it's offer, but it's shver. It's offer, but it's shver. Not mamish offer. It's offer, but it's a piece of chametz that's offer. So Mele is delaying it. So that does that do the bittul that I believe it's not offer? I believe it's oichel. I was lying. No, I wasn't lying. V'harai, I'm going to burn it. But I'm just hesitating a little bit. Like Loit, vayismamo. He procrastinated.
He's going to burn it. That shows it's not offer.
That's what I'm saying. He's going to burn it. So he's... Huh?
That undoes, because it shows it's not offer. Otherwise...
No, he's going to burn it because the Chachamim said that you have to do beer, not only bittul.
Right, but that means it's not offer.
Obviously. Well, we know that. Nobody thinks it's physical offer. But bittul means it has the status of offer in terms of chametz. The fact that I'm delaying the burning means I'm turning it back into oichel and I'm making it chashuv. I'm not making it chashuv. Chashuv v'hi be'einav, and that's why I'm hesitating.
You can say that once you did B'dike and Bittul, it's not going to be, there's no chashash that he's going to want to save it. Because of the mode of trying to destroy it.
That's something to be moisef now. Let's also remember the facts. In the first case in the Mishnah, the Bartanur is talking about a guy who didn't do anything to get rid of the chametz. He just did bittul. So he has a house filled with chametz. In fact, he may be very happy with this deal. He did bittul. He has a house filled with chametz. After Pesach, you're back to normal. Just like we do with the goyim. You sell the chametz, Motzei Pesach, everybody's eating Cheerios. You ever see? I mean, those are a chiyuv to eat pizza, but if you can't get to the pizza shop on time, so b'di'evet, Chachamim were matter to eat Cheerios, Achron Shal Pesach, Motzei Pesach. Again, the Chatchila, the mitzvah is pizza, but b'di'evet is a heter for Cheerios and French fries. Okay. So Tzamachaya, he did bittul, and Motzei Pesach will be zoich in all the chametz. Yachshav Alayla Achle then makes a lot of sense, even though he's an Erlechiyid. We're talking about an Erlechiyid. After Pesach, I'm going to come eat it. In our case, what happened? This guy sat a whole Erev night before Pesach, sat during the night of Erev Pesach, and he got rid of all the chametz. He got destroyed all the chametz. He's not planning to have chametz after Pesach. Why did he do b'dik and beer? As far as he's concerned, there's not a piece of chametz in his house. Not a piece of chametz in his house. It happens to be chalamayid. He comes across a piece of chametz. He doesn't have a whole arrangement with his chametz in his house, and he didn't touch a piece of chametz. He got rid of all the chametz. We see what he's thinking. So now, 1 second. So what happens now? What happens now? He wants to burn this also. Why does he want to burn it? He burnt all the chametz. Is it possible that he's going to have a machshava, I want to leave this after Pesach and eat it? Of course it's possible, and you're right. You're right. Is that a that may cancel the bittul, but that's not a. Why will it cancel the bittul?
Yeah, why? He didn't bittul. Why would it? Then it's the same thing.
Machshava mevatalas machshava, just like the Bartanura said.
But then it's the same thing when we sell the chametz to a guy. We know you said it's a joke, but we know that we're going to eat the chametz right after Pesach. So how come?
Big difference between selling it to a guy. Why? This is a machshava. In other words, let's say I sell you my Gemarah, right? For $10. I sell it. I give it to you. It's now yours. Okay? Tomorrow I have charata. Does it cancel a sale? People do it all the time. They sell a house. A year later they have charata because it went up. Does it cancel the sale? Tough luck. Here, I didn't sell the chametz to anybody. I had a machshava that in my mind it's offer. It's a very different experience. It's a very different experience. Yeah. Yeah. And that actually is probably the difference between Rashi and Tosfos. Tosfos holds bittul as hefker. Rashi holds bittul is not hefker. Bittul is turning it into offer in your mind. If you say bittul is hefker, it's actually a legal status. I made it ownerless. If I make my phone ownerless, I say it's hefker. Yeah, and he comes and takes it. I didn't mean it. You said it. You said it's hefker. You did it halachically. You weren't coerced. You knew what you're saying. We're not one if you do it unconsciously. You were a normal person. You said, yeah, but I didn't feel it. I didn't want it. I didn't mean it. I didn't experience it. You knew what you were saying. It's hefker. Tough luck. You understand? But I have charata. It's not yours anymore to have charata. But if you touch bittul is hefker. So I don't care if he has charata. It's already ownerless. It's ownerless. So Mele Tosfos is not afraid that you're going to retract from your bittul. You could think, do you want to eat it? I couldn't care less. It's hefker. It's not yours. Go to Domino Pizza Shop on Pesach and say it would be nice to eat it after Pesach. I don't care. It's not yours. You could think to eat it as much as you want. So that's why Tosfos holds that you don't have to worry about retracting from the bittul. The bittul is good. Tosfos says, why do you have to do b'dika? You shouldn't come to eat it. But Rashi holds that what? Bittul is belief. Bittul is an internal, authentic recognition that in my mind this is garnished. It's worthless, it's valueless. I couldn't care less for it, like a piece of dust. Ooh, this has to be sincere. If you say, oh, it's just joking. Really? If you were just joking, then there's no bittul. Bittul is not a legal thing, not a legal transaction. It's almost an internal, mental, emotional state. I mean, I don't want to get so emotional, romantic about bittul, but essentially, it's a pnimiyistic thing. It's a midah. It's not just a dibur. It's not just a statement. It's not a legal statement. I sign a document. The lawyer says sign. Yeah, this is what you're signing. I'm in the mood. I'm not in the mood. I care. I don't care. This is what you got to do. And once you sign, you sign. Tomorrow you had charata, tough luck. As long as you weren't forced and you knew what you were doing and it wasn't under duress and you weren't over bottle, right? You know how many times people sign a will, yeah? The next week they wake up, yeah? Huh? You have to go redo the will. But I didn't mean it. What do you mean you didn't mean it? You signed it. You weren't senile. You didn't have dementia. It's legal. That would work according to Tosfos. But like Rashi, it's all about sincerity. It's all about if you mean it. It's not a verbal statement. It's offer. It's hefker. Hefker is a statement. Bittul is an emotion. A statement you don't have to mean. Go to Wall Street. Go to a lawyer's firm. An emotion. It's an emotion. It's a hergish. It's a pnimiyus dekinyan. It's a thought, but a real thought. Hefker is also a thought, but it's a real thought. To put it this way, you need a special pasuk, tashbisu. Hashbasa belev. Now, I don't think Rashi means you have to start emotionally hating chametz. I don't think Rashi means that, halachically. That may be a Hasidic idea, to hate the chametz. I don't mean to dramatize this, but you have to mean it. You have to mean it. And if in the middle of Pesach you say, wow, this is a nice piece of chametz, I want to eat this after Pesach, what happened? According to Tosfos, tough luck. I'm saying you walk by a street and Domino Pizza has a lot of chametz, even if it's kosher, the chametz and it's mahadrin mina mahadrin, and you look at the Domino Pizza and you say, Isru Chag, this is where I'm coming. You're over by Rabbi Motzei? No, why? It's Domino Pizza, it's not yours. So you look at your mashke, you say, I want to eat this after Pesach. It's not yours. Eat it. It's not yours. It's hefker. You undid the bittul. Where did you undo the bittul? I made it hefker. I can't be back zoiche from hefker on Pesach. It's Asur Bahana. He holds you not. Apparently, you can't be zoiche Isur Hana. It's a separate shaila. But you can't take back the Isur Hana. I can't be zoiche because Torah says it's not yours. I made it ownerless. Is good. But Rashi holds that bittul is believed, that you have to imagine that it's awful. So if in middle of Pesach, you look at it and you say, I would like to eat this.
Say it or think it?
Think it. You undid your bittul. Because bittul is not hefker. Bittul is the conviction that it's offer. You just undid it. You were now over by Rabbi Motzei. Are we certain it's going to happen? We're not certain it's going to happen. Do we hope it's not going to happen? Of course we hope it's not going to happen. But remember, you have a house filled with chametz. You only did bittul. It's a shash. You have a house filled with chametz. Is it not possible? You open up your freezer and you say, ooh, thank God the kids will have what to eat after Pesach. There's a good frozen pizza for the birthday party, Yisru Chag. It's possible. Not because you don't care about Yiddishkeit. You care about Yiddishkeit. But you also care about food. The two sometimes work together.
What if you say the Torah was already about just agreeing to the Torah? How do you undo that? The Torah was... But
Rashi doesn't say Torah is mafkid.
No, but if you hold that it's machshav and you undo, how can you undo something of the Torah?
It's all saying we're talking now shittas Rashi.
Right.
But now, if you did b'dikas chametz already, that's davav. So your whole house is filled. There's no chametz. You were a good boy. You got rid of every last bottle of mashka and every last piece of chametz. Now you don't do bittul, right? And what happens? You may find a piece of chametz. First of all, the maid is much, much less because you got rid of all the chametz. And now what's going to happen? What's going to happen is, you're right. If you eat it, it's an isakaris. If you don't burn it, you're over on bayirah bal yematzeh. If you delay it, you're over on bayirah bal yematzeh. Right? If you think about it, if you think about eating it afterwards, okay, that's not a problem. Your problem is bayirah bal yematzeh. You're not allowed to have it here. So what do we say? Do bittul. What does bittul accomplish? Bittul accomplishes that even if you find it and you delay the burning, you're not even a bayirah bal yematzeh. So now you're telling me, but what happens if you look at it and you say, I want to eat this after Pesach? You're right. So what should I do? He did bdika. He did biur. He did bittul. What else am I supposed to do? I can't do more. Klaps a kapavant. You're right, so what do I do? But I want to say more. The chashash is much less because this is a guy who burnt all of his chametz. He doesn't have a house filled with chametz. So to say that when he found this piece of cake, Yachshav alei la'achla, you're right. If he says, ooh, it's so good that I missed this piece of cake, I overlooked it because now I have what to eat after Pesach, you're right, he's oike the bittul. But that's not likely to happen because he got rid of all the chametz. He's not planning to eat chametz after Pesach. So punk this piece of cake that he overlooked by mistake, he's going to say, now I want to eat it after Pesach. He could, but it's not a likely chash. First of all, even if it was a likely chash, there's nothing to do. You did whatever you can. We're humans, we're not angels. The Chachamim can't bavarin every possible loophole in the world. We're human. If a guy dafke makes one mistake, another mistake, another mistake, another mistake, you can have buffer zones, right? No trespassing, one fence. You can have a second fence, no trespassing. But you always have that kid who goes through one fence and a second fence and a third fence and a fourth fence. Well, what am I going to do? How many fences can you build, yeah? But so that's number one. Number two, the chashash is much less because he got rid of all the chametz. So first of all, the chashash that he's going to find is much smaller than the chashash in Daf Beis where he didn't do bdik. That's number one. Number two, even if he finds the chashash that he's going to want to eat it after Pesach is much less. Why? Because he burnt all of his chametz. There was never a machshava. He wasn't supposed to have this. This was a mitziyah. The Gemarah says mitziyah ba behesach hadas. This was unexpected. So b'meila, he didn't have such a machshava that he's ever going to have. He had a mazel. He found chametz. So to say, this I'm going to eat after Pesach, maybe, but it's much less likely. What is the problem? The problem is one thing. If it's a nice gluska, you may delay the burning for a few moments. Do we say that's oiker the bittul? We don't say that's oiker the bittul.
Why not? If it's chasalei l'sarf.
No.
So it's not offer for him. He's not
only that, if he finds it even after Pesach. Even if he finds it after Pesach.
He didn't sell it.
He didn't sell it. Right. He didn't sell it. It was during the entire Pesach.
No.
He found it after Pesach.
No.
Beautiful $2,000 scotch. What does he do?
If you find it after Pesach and you did bdika, so that's called chametz avar l'va Pesach.
Right.
We'll see. There's a sugya. What happens with chametz? That's a sugya chametz avar l'va Pesach.
But if he's in a state that he's chasalei l'sarfa, so it's not a.
You want to know why chasalei l'sarfa is not oiker the bittul? Why don't you say that machshava is mevatel the machshava of bittul? Just like the yachshav alei la'achlai is oiker. So first of all, you see why the Bartanura is moist with the words v'yachshav alei la'achla. He changes the scenario. He doesn't just quote these words because he knows this Gemarah, obviously. The way I understand it is as follows. A Jew said, Erev Pesach, that my chametz is ka'afra da'ar. And he meant it. It's ka'afra. He also did bdika and biur. He got rid of all the chametz. It's the middle of Pesach, and he comes and he finds a gluska yafa. Yeah, let's come this nice bottle of mashka that's very, very expensive. Okay. He's not thinking to himself, this is a good thing to leave till after Pesach and eat it. That's not what he's thinking. That's not what his thought. His thought process is, oi, it's Pesach. What do I have to do? Burn it. And that's what he's doing. We're not talking about a Jew who doesn't burn it. Rashi says he's masher rega echad. Even rega echad. Meaning, he's going. This is an instinctive experience. It's almost unconscious. Meaning, it's automatic. Chosale, it's...
It won't even come in his mind.
It's not a machshava. It's not a machshava. Baruch Hashem, Hashem Neshtek Chametz. This is good for the Bar Mitzvah after Pesach. That's not the machshava. Chosale means, let me give you an example. Avram Avinu was told, yeah, Kachnas binches yichidcha sherahafta. It says, Vayashkem Avram baboike. So Rashi, but Vayashkem Avram baboike. He didn't delay. He didn't delay. If he would delay, we understand it. Hashem said to do it. I'll do it an hour later. Why? It's hard. It's hard. I want to do it. I'm not, I have a nice piece of chametz, I want to keep it. No, I have a piece of chametz. It's almost instinctive. That can be oiked, but that's not fear. And it's an important word. A person has thoughts that come into you. There's an expression in Chassidus, Machshava is the spiegel von hearts. Thoughts are the mirror of your heart. In other words, some thoughts are instinctive. I have a heart. I have certain emotions. I'm going to have thoughts. Yeah. Let's speak about an avodah. A person is walking in the street and sees something. The moment you see it, yeah, you think about it and you have a taiva, right? That's not an aveira. The aveira is turning around. The second time. You have a heart, you have eyes. You know what sasuru means? It says by the Meraglim, Yasuru. Don't go after it. Don't turn around.
How you deal with it.
It's what you do, yeah. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? There was a pop-up on your screen, but now you can open the website. That's the pop-up. There's pop-ups in our mind all day. Things pop up. That's not an issue. You're a person. You're not a malach. You're not a Gan Eden. Do you pursue it? Rashi says, Chashuvahi be'einav instinctively. I'm not a malach. There's a person that chametz on Pesach is muktzah machmas. I'm not that guy. I'm an ehrlich yid, so I turned it into offer. Because God wants that chametz is bad for me on Pesach. But now I see a nice piece of chametz. I think what Rashi means is instinctively, he walks a little slower. He walks a little slower to get the matches. You could say that's oiker de bittel. That's not fear. You understand? If I say, Baruch Hashem, I'm so happy I didn't want this, I didn't get rid of this chametz, I needed it. Now I was oiker de bittel. I did something else. Here, because it's a beautiful piece of chametz, so instinctively the beer takes a moment longer. B'meila, what happens? I was over on Bayirah Bayimotze. Why was I over on Bayirah Bayimotze? Because the chametz was here. But to say that it's oiker the bittel, it's not oiker the bittel. Okay.
Gluska Yafa mean more than beer, more than crab?
Gluska Yafa is a nice roll.
It doesn't mean like more than crumbs.
No. Yafa. It doesn't say gluska. Gluska is a roll. Gluska Yafa means a beautiful roll.
The guy who somebody mentioned, that it means more than gluska. I forgot where I saw it. Can't mean that.
No. Yafa.
No, I know.
Ist verstanden? You still don't understand. You want to know why he's not oiker the bittel. Why he's not oiker the bittel? Since he feels bad to burn it, so that undoes the bittel. You know, let me read to you the Lashon HaMeiri. There's a Lashon HaMeiri here, okay? The Meiri says, I have it here, let me bring it. The Meiri says like this. Rabbeinu Menachem HaMeiri says, why do you need bittel? He says, Lo nitna Torah l'risha Yisrael. Torah wasn't given to Rishayim who don't want to do it. Ella, Lo keach zman liyashev daitei shetzarech levayir. It takes some time for his Yishuv Adas to calm him down, meaning, Noisan leiv la'ashhoisach tisyashev daitei la'achriach tiva mitzad mitzvah. Because it's such a beautiful, expensive piece of chametz, it's going to take him a little time till he could wrap his brain around the fact that the mitzvah tells him that he has to burn it. And then he's going to be over. In other words, yes, there's a mitzvah here. He has to burn it, and he wants to do the mitzvah. But it's difficult. And it just takes him a few moments to be able to tell himself, Rabbi Yid, it's a beautiful piece of chametz. It's worth $1,000. It's worth $5,000. It's worth $100. It's worth $45. But this is what Hashem wants. This is the right thing. The Meiri says also, he says, because it's so beautiful, he asks himself, maybe I could find a Pesach heter not to destroy it. Maybe. Like the Pnei Yeshua and the Rosh Yosef says, he thinks to himself, maybe I can give it to a goy. Maybe I can give it to my neighbor. Maybe I can feed it to an animal. At least it's too good to be destroyed, Maybe I can give it to a Gentile that I don't know. Maybe I could call the Rav. Maybe I can go ask the Rav and say, is there an Eitzah? And that time, he's going to be over. What's the point? The point is, he's not trying to acquire the chametz. It's not like he's having kavanah. I want to acquire this chametz. I want to leave it for after Pesach in order to eat it. That's not the case. That's not what's happening. He wants to destroy the chametz. But there's this almost instinctive natural hesitation. It's difficult. He did bittul before Pesach. And what is bittul? Bittul is, he declared, I don't want the chametz to exist. I don't want to own it. I don't want to have it. In fact, I have no need. It's like offer. It's worthless. It's significant. It's insignificant. Yeah, he meant it. He meant it. He's an erlich yid. Pesach is coming. Einer roitz b'kiyumai. The Ramban says in the beginning of Pesachim, the shit of Rashi and Bittul, right? I'm not interested in its kiyum, like the Rambam says. The Rambam says, ein boi tzorech klal. In my mind, it's kilo. It's like offer. I don't want it. I don't want to have this. Torah says I don't want to have it. Torah says I'm not allowed to have it. I don't want to have it. Now, it's not like you take a look at this gluska yaf and you says, I'm keeping this. I'm keeping this. I want to have it. That would be oike the bittul. That would undo the bittul. Yeah. Why would it undo the bittul? Because the definition of the bittul is the existence of this chametz is not of interest to me. I don't want this chametz to exist. As far as I'm concerned, it's like a particle of dust. I have no interest in this. I don't want it. For me, it's worthless. Okay? And now I'm saying, no, I do want it. I like it. I want it. I want to keep it. I want to use it. That's not what he's saying. He's hesitating. He's not running to burn it. What's missing is the zrizus. What's missing is chasaled. It's like this instinctive thing. You're right. If he was living with the bittul every moment and he sees it as offer mamish, fine. But he's not, when he did bittul, it was very sincere. Now he sees this gluska yafa, and he's challenged. There's an instinct in him. He doesn't want to undo the bittul. It's not like he says, I want to be zoichet for after Pesach. It's not what he does. But there's an instinct in him that doesn't feel the bittul. Yes, put it that way. There's an instinct. There's an instinct that says, yes, there's an instinct that it's not offer, because we know it's not offer. It's really chametz. It's a gluska yafa, right? So there's an instinct in him that says, maybe I can find a heter, not to burn it. Maybe I can give it to a guy and get rid of it, and that's how I'll do bir chametz. Maybe I can give it to a stray animal. Maybe I can give it to my animal. Maybe I can give it to my neighbor. Maybe I could call the Rav, find it up seheter. Or even if I know there's nothing to do, it's chametz, it's Pesach. But he delays it for a few seconds. As the Meiri says, it takes him a little time. It's a little difficult. He's not undoing the bittul. Undoing the bittul would mean, like the Bartanura says, he thinks that he wants to eat it after Pesach. In other words, I want to hold this for myself. That undoes the bittul. Here, that's not what's happening. What's happening is he's not rushing into the beer. He's not rushing into it. It may take him an extra minute to get the match. Why does it take him an extra minute to get the match? Because it's a gluska yafa, because it's a beautiful gluska. And I'll prove this to you. What's the next line in the Gemarah? Teves asks a question, okay? Take a look in Teves, yeah? V'daiti Eloya. What does Teves say? Pirush? V'loi batel me'elav k'moi pirurin. Rashi holds v'daiti Eloi means that you don't want to burn it. You're chas alei milasarfa. You delay the burning. Tosfos says that's not pshat. V'daiti alei means it's just not bottle on its own. It's not like crumbs. In other words, when you find a gluska yafa, you have a problem. If you were to find crumbs, I don't care because it's bottle on its own. Here, v'daiti iluya means his das is on it. Not that he's going to delay the burning. He's not going to delay the burning, but his das is on it means that it's something that he would have cared about it. In other words, if he would have found it by b'dikas chametz, he wouldn't disregard it. He may have saved it to eat in a meal. He may have given it away. It's something that has chshivus. His das is on it. It's something that he would be makbid on. On a regular day, it's something that is not worthless. So Mela, when he's finding it now, it's not bottle on its own. It's not bottle on its own. So if he didn't do bittel, right? If he didn't do bittel, so what happens? If he delays it now, he's going to be over. Not v'daiti alei means he's going to want to delay it. But if he delays it even for a moment, he's going to be over. Not because chasale. Tosfos says, why does the Gemarah ask right now, when you find it, you'll be at Mavatal? The Gemarah asks, right, the next piece. What's the problem? What if you do bittel before Pesach? You'll find it, you'll do bittel. Rashi says you have rachmanis, you don't want to do bittel. So why does the Gemarah say you could do bittel when you find it? So that's why Tosfos says no, it's not talking about that. It's not chasale. This Jew is not chasale. He's going to do bittel when he finds it. He's going to do beer when he finds it. The problem is v'daiti doesn't mean he delays it. V'daiti simply means that what? That it's not bottle on its own, and because it's not bottle on its own, if you happen to delay it, not because of rachmanis, for whatever reason, you're going to be able to buy it all by your matzah. Okay, by the way, there's another pshat in Tosfos. The Tosfos hold like the shitta of the Rosh and the Tur, which according to many hold that if you find it, you're over lemafreya, meaning minatayra you have to do bittel on chametz she'eni yadua. Because even if you did a b'dika and beer, not like the Iran who says samcha Torah la chazakas, we say that if you do bittel on chametz she'eni yadua, then you fulfill the mitzvah min HaTorah. Because if you don't do bittel, just b'dika and beer is not going to do the trick. Because b'dika and beer only takes care of chametz that you find, but the chametz that you don't find. So most shittas hold the chametz that you don't find, you're not over on it because you're an anus. But this shitta would hold that the chametz that you don't find, you're not an anus on, and you're over because you have to do bittel min HaTorah. Which makes sense because according to Tosfos on Daf Beis, it would explain why he argues with Rashi. Rashi says you're by the chametz not to be even by your matzeh. For Tosfos, you're doing bittel anyway because Tosfos holds you have to do bittel min HaTorah because b'dika and beer doesn't help for the chametz that you don't find because you're going to be over. So Mela Tosfos says you're doing bittel anyway. What do you need b'dika? So Tosfos says but Rashi might hold that no, you don't have to do bittel min HaTorah. You could do b'dika and beer min HaTorah because you don't have to do bittel on chametz she'eni yadua. So if you don't do bittel on chametz she'eni yadua, so therefore you could do b'dika and beer not to be over by Yematzeh, as the Ran explains. Okay, but I'll call upon him. However you learn Tosfos, what's pshat in Tosfos' question on Rashi? If you have rachmanas to burn the chametz, you're also going to have rachmanas to be mavatal the chametz. The answer obviously is that Rashi holds there's a big difference. I'm not going to have rachmanas to be mevatel the chametz. You know why? Because to be mevatel the chametz is not a problem. I don't mind being mevatel because I'm an erlich yid. I don't want to hold on to this chametz. I want to get rid of this chametz. I don't want to be over by Rabbi. I'm not interested in being kind of this chametz. I don't want to eat it. I don't want to keep it for after Pesach to eat it. That's not what's going on here. I'm completely not interested in that. And that's why if you tell me be mevatel right away, I'll be mevatel right away. And I'm going to mean it. This is not oichel, this is offer. It's not oichel, it's offer. I'm not interested in it. My problem with burning is not that I want to be zoiche in the chametz, I want to acquire the chametz. No, that's not the vart. The vart is simply because it's a beautiful piece of chametz. Instinctively, there may be an instinct in me, a taiva in me, that simply delays my burning of the chametz a little bit by a few minutes. And that time I'm going to be able to buy Rabbi Matzeh. That's the vart. So it's not that I really have charata for my bittul because suddenly the chametz became choshev and suddenly I want to be kind of the chametz. The vart of bittul, according to Rashi, is eino roitze b'kiyume. I don't want it to exist. If I decide that I want to keep it for after Pesach to eat it, it means that I do want it to exist. And therefore I'm oiker the bittul. But here, it's not that I want it to exist. Why am I going to burn it if I want it to exist? I don't want it to exist. All I'm saying is that there is an instinct. There is an instinct here that's delaying the burning. Yes, for those few seconds, I don't want it to exist permanently. I'm going to burn it. But it's just a little difficult for me. And because it's a little difficult for me, so those few moments, I'm not going to be oiker the bittul. I'm not oiker the bittul, but I'm over on by Yematzeh because there's chametz in my house. You understand? Yeah, you see clearly Rashi holds, I'll do bittul right away. Rashi doesn't have a problem with me doing bittul. He clearly says that. You see from Rashi. Rashi has absolutely no problem with me doing bittul right away. Because according to Rashi, the problem is, because it's beautiful, I'm not going to physically destroy it. But if you want for me just to say with my mouth and my heart that I don't want it to be oichel, I want it to be afar, I'm completely fine. Yeah. So if the chashash is that I want to keep it for after Pesach, then the bittul is going to be uprooted. But according to Rashi, that's not the vart. The vart is not that I want to keep it for after Pesach, I want to eat it after Pesach here. That's not the vart. The vart is simply that because it's a beautiful piece of chametz, gluska yafa, so I'm not mizdaris. So what's your problem? Your problem is that when I have an instinct that it's beautiful, and therefore I don't want to destroy it, I'm delaying it, so that means it's not offer anymore. It's not mushbas, because I want it to exist. So why am I going to burn it? I don't want it. I'm going to burn it, or I'm looking for a heter, or I'm thinking maybe I can give it to a guy. I want to get rid of it. No. Yes, because I'm not interested in it, because it's chametz on Pesach. The bittul remains. Yes, there's an instinct in me that sees the chshivus in it. So you're saying that instinct should be Erke the bittul. No. If I want, it should exist after Pesach. So I declared my bittul null. I'm not doing that. I don't want it to exist after Pesach. I'm not keeping this. You want a let me give you a mashal. Okay, call it a Yetzirah. Okay. So I have a Yetzirah in me, as the Meiri says, I have to be machriach my teva. There's something in my teva that says, I wish God would say that I could keep it. Okay. I wish God would say. But God didn't say. I'm fine with that. But when I think I want to eat this after Pesach, right? I'm not fine with it. Even if I find a heter, what I'm basically doing is I'm undoing the bittul. I want the kiyum of the chametz. Here I don't want the kiyum. This guy is going to burn it. He's going to get a match. Let me ask you another question. Okay, forget about this. Let's say it's the night before Pesach. And you're doing bittul. Okay, you're doing bittul. And while you're doing the bittul, there's an instinct in you that says, this whole Pesach thing is ridiculous. What does Hashem care if I want to have chametz? I want chametz. Is not a good bittul? You have an instinct in you. Let me ask you a question. You come to daven and you want to have kavanah, shmona esrei shema. There's an instinct in you that says, let's start thinking about something else. There's no shema and shmona esrei? No, you move away from that instinct. We have a Yetzer Tov, we have a Yetzer Hara, we have split personalities. That's not called no bittul. Let's say you're doing bittul chametz, and in the middle of the bittul there's a thought that says, this whole thing is ridiculous. What's the big deal? My neighbor has chametz a whole Pesach. I want chametz a whole Pesach. As long as you know how to push away the instinct and say, no, I'm a Jew, Torah is real, Hashem is real, mitzvahs are real, it's called bittul. So you have a struggle. Who doesn't we have struggles. That's not called undoing the bittul. So on Pesach, you may still have that struggle. Just like during the bittul, you can have a struggle. 2 days after the bittul, you can also have a struggle. But you're not taking the struggle seriously. You're not worshiping the struggle. You're going to burn it. Because the struggle, it may take you an extra minute, yes. Just like Shemona Esrei, my mind may be taking me to the cleaners and to the airplane and to the office, and I may have to gently tell my thoughts, not now. Now I want to daven. That undoes the davening. It doesn't undo the davening. You say there's no kavanah. There was kavanah, and there was a struggle. So yes, during the bittul, there was a struggle. So 2 days later, there was also a struggle. I don't have a problem with the fact that there's a struggle. But now let me give you another example. I'm davening Shemona Esrei, and the machshavas come in, and I say, you know what? I'm done. And I shut the sid. Instead of doing Shemona Esrei, thinking about Shemona Esrei, I go somewhere else. Now there was no kavanah. So if instead of looking at the gluska yafa and saying, let's go burn it, but I get delayed, or I'm thinking of a heter. I'm thinking, can this work with Torah? Can this work with bittul? That's one way I do it. But another way I may do it is, I look at this piece of chametz, and I say, I am not burning this, my friend. This is too good to be true. I am not burning this. I am not burning this. This is not a struggle. It's the other way around. The bittul is the machshava zora. Now the chametz is what you want. You get it? I think it makes sense. No? Yeah. The Svara, the Stiplegon has a Sefer Kehillas Yaakov on Pesachim. Siman Gimel, he discusses this. He says this Nakuda. The other Nakuda says, the Chaim Sofer, I think, says. Chaim Sofer says that in the Mishnah, the guy has a house filled with chametz. So there's a much bigger chashash that Yimtze Gluska Yaf and he's going to want to eat it. Here, he did beer. So Pashat Mitzi is this less chashash, and also Mitzad his Madrega, where he is. He's a Jew, did beer chametz. I believe the Chaim Sofer mentions that. Yeah. The Ramban asks a question on Rashi, which you have to answer. The Ramban asks a big question on Rashi. Yeah. The Ramban in Pesachim quote, the Ramban in the beginning of Pesachim quotes this Rashi here, and the Ramban asks a question. And the Ramban says, if chasale, if you delay the burning, then even the bittul doesn't help. Because the Ramban says, Kivan sheroitzeba, since you want it, nasis shalai, it's yours. The chatzeir shal adam kainalai dvar Torah. The Ramban tain is that according to Rashi, if you're delaying the burning because you want it, so your chatzeir is kainah dvar Torah. And even if you want to say it's an isser hana, so you're not zoicha, the Ramban says chametz is different because the whole bittul was only in your mind. The whole bittul was in your mind that you didn't want b'kiyumai. If you're putting your das on it, you do want it, so then you're over. Again, similar to Teves. That's the Ramban's question. It's a very big question of the Ramban. Like Rashi, you're zoich in the chametz, chatzeir shel adam kainalai. So you're over Rabbi Yamatzeh, bittul doesn't help. So you have to answer the Ramban, and you have to say that obviously Rashi does not mean that this guy wants it, that this guy wants to eat the chametz, that this guy wants to keep the chametz. Then takil the bittul would be bottle. That's not what pshat. That's not the idea. Completely not. What Rashi means is that you're not rushing in the beer. And that's why you're over by your Rabbi Yamot. You're just not rushing. And the bittul helps, because even if you delay it, you're not going to be over by your Rabbi Yamot. In other words, even during the delay, the bittul is still intact. Because not like the Ramban says that you want it, that you're oiker your das, now you want it to exist. No. There's just a little struggle, a little instinctive struggle, but your das is still, you want the bittul. It's not like it's not you're undoing the bittul b'shayid or b'mezit, right? It's a different word. That's what the Meiri says. The Meiri almost says this clearly.
This class is brought to you by the yeshiva.net. Please help us continue the classes. Make even a small contribution at www.theyeshiva.net/donate.